Marcel, you made it.
Hi, sorry, I was having some technology complications.
So this is we have Ghana, Lindsay, and Laurel, also the panelists, and the sideshow is actually Josh, which is the person behind the idea. And then, yeah, you let us know, Josh, when to start.
Yeah, whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, cool. Can they see us now?
Yeah.
Cool. So hi everyone. This is Maddy. Who doesn't know me? I'm Maddy Kramer. I'm based in New York. I've been in New York for the last 3 years, and I got invited to be part of this amazing project, this sideshow, through Josh. And it's been really exciting to see it grow and like everything like that. And I was invited because I do have a lot of side projects in my life, and one of them it is inVisible Creatives, and inVisible Creatives was born 2 years ago with the purpose of giving a spotlight to female creatives in the industry. And since we launched, we have almost 2,000 books around the world and 50 countries and so that's I just wanted to give a little bit like a spiel of who I am, but actually because inVisible Creatives, it's all about the spotlight of creatives. And I was lucky enough to have enough spotlight in my career that I wanted to give the space that I had to other creatives to have their spotlight as well. So we picked the best work that we saw that people put forward, and we wanted to like give space to this amazing female creatives with their perspective. And I will like go and talk to them about like the different projects they've been working on. So now we're gonna do like a little introduction. So we start with Lindsay, and then Marcela goes next, and then Laura. But Lindsay.
Cool. Hi, I'm Lindsay Dyer. I'm a senior copywriter, and I'm based in Denver, Colorado. And my side hustle is ceramics. I'm a potter artist, and I go by LJ Pottery.
Awesome. Marce?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marcela Angeles. I'm creative director at Circus Media Monks, and I also have a side project with 9 other people that it's called Colectivo Constelación. It's a collective group in which we generate ideas to help fight for human rights in Mexico. And I'm based in Mexico City.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gaina, and I'm the director of social of Digital Farm, which is a creative agency based in Abu Dhabi. And my side project is Plastic Free UAE, which is a platform where we facilitate conversations around sustainability and the environment.
And hi guys, my name is Laurel Stark, and I'm a freelance creative director based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I have a couple side projects that I'm going to talk to you about one today, but I'm also the co-founder of Next Creative Leaders, which is a global competition for women and non-binary creatives, of which is how Maddy and I connected, because she was one of our winners a couple of years ago. And I'm also the co-creator of Our Silent Partner, which is a crowdsourced collection of work that speaks to what it's like to have mental health issues as a creative. And I launched that with my brilliant partner, Victoria Rosselli, in May for Mental Health Month this year.
So thank you so much for joining me and being part of this today. I'm really excited to showcase other ideas other than mine. So like I first like I think I have like one question to all of you, and then you can whoever wants to chime in first. Like I'm curious about like what made you pick this side hustle, like what drove you to make this decision of like putting extra hours, to like advertising. It's a very demanding job per se, and it takes so many hours, and just to like pick another project that you are passionate about, like what made you pick that particular subject, and like how you feel about it. And like I want to know a little bit more. Whoever wants to start first.
I can start. So for me, Colectivo Constelación was something that had to happen. I live in Mexico, and I don't know if you're all familiar with the situation that we have in terms of violence, specifically gender violence. So there's 11 people, 11 women are murdered by someone that they probably knew every day in Mexico. So the last couple of years, it's been getting worse. But at the same time, the activism, the feminists and the activism have taken a really good spotlight. So we rounded together with some people from the agency as well. And we decided that we needed to do something from what we know, which is communicating and doing advertising. So what we do is basically we generate tools to create campaigns and actions and communication that prevents and tries to eradicate somehow the violence. It started as for women violence, and it spread into different things, but that's how it started and why we started it.
Awesome. Who wanted to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. So for me, what really got me into sustainability and the environment, it was more of a personal journey as well, because we started it around 2018. And this was a time when I also became more conscious about what I ate, what my clothes were made of, where is this plastic straw going to, and what it's affecting, which is marine life. And then if you see all these documentaries where they actually cut open the fish and then you see small particles of plastic, and then am I eating that? And it became like we need to do something about it. So the way that we approached it, we started with ourselves. In the office, we would switch our single-use plastic straws with metal straws, and then those dispensers with water with a big gallon, I think it's a 5-liter gallon. We switched that for a water filter, where we worked with actual water filter companies. And so it was more of an internal kind of change, and we wanted to make other people more aware of that. And it became a movement within the office, and then it started from there. So it's really driven by internal, motivation to change and to also make the world better, because we wanted our projects, the clients that we work with, we wanted them to be also working for good. We didn't want to use our talents to just for short-term purposes, but we wanted to help clients that were actually doing good for the world, for the planet that we live in. So I think when you think about it that way, it makes all the extra hours worth it.
I can go.
Cool.
So yeah, my side project isn't as amazing and world-changing as some of these other wonderful projects. But I started doing pottery like a decade ago, but I got more serious about it a couple years ago. As Maddy mentioned, the advertising industry can get really crazy, like lots of insane hours and pressure. And I think I very much needed an outlet and a way to like take care of myself and decompress and continue to stay creative in a way that isn't just working on advertising stuff. So I really carved out those nights and weekends and got focused on taking my art more seriously, and just started practicing. And I found a really great change in myself as far as being able to manage stress better. I made these great artist friends that just kind of reignited that passion for creativity in all kinds of ways, and not just copywriting. So, and now I get to give all my friends and people the ceramics I make. So that's great too.
That's awesome. I have a friend that does ceramics, and I think it helps her bring so much more creativity to her work. So I love that too. Awesome. It is just as important. It's a different kind of important, but it is just as important. For me, I think my journey around the activism part of it obviously started quite a few years ago. And I think I shared similar feelings to Maddy, where I really felt blessed around the support that I had had at my career that allowed me to launch into different directions, and really feeling like a platform, creating platforms for other people, starting brave conversations, that was something that I had the gift to do and a lot of privilege, and felt compelled to do that in different ways. But obviously, especially with the pandemic, the idea of, mental health is something that I've struggled with, pretty much since I was 11. I've had anxiety and depression, and a diagnosis since my teen. So it's just been a part of being creative for me, and I think when things really kind of got pretty dark for our industry, I think we were maybe 6 to 8 weeks into the pandemic, really feeling that feeling of like, we need to respond to this moment. And I really was feeling for the community and concerned for people's mental health, concerned for the parents, concerned for people that were overworking and worried about losing their jobs, concerned for the people whose livelihoods had disappeared. And I was really disappointed that I didn't see leadership talking about it. And I really sit in that space where I'm doing a lot of social listening and trying to chime in and trying to start conversations. So that's where it kind of came for me. And I was like, maybe am I the one to start this conversation? Maybe it's me. And it was kind of like a big gulp, because I had never really, I've been pretty open about a lot of the things that I've been through, but mental health was kind of the last thing for me. And I had to really get over my own kind of, my own insecurities around what a diagnosis meant and fears around what people would think of me. But I was like, you know what, I have a level of privilege here on a platform, and I think it's time to respond to this. So actually partnered up with Victoria Rosselli, who had written an amazing piece for Campaign Magazine. I think it was in December last year, just talking about how working in creativity and having a mental health diagnosis were so incompatible. And kind of reached out to her and asked if she would want to kind of do something about this and maybe start a larger conversation. And for us, we went back and forth around what the right thing to do was. And we thought, we're just creatives. We can only speak from our own personal experiences. We're not mental health professionals. So maybe it's enough to just start the conversation. And we thought the best way to do that was with creative work, because one, it's a medium that we all speak. It's how and also we thought maybe this is how we get leadership talking, because we all know that leadership always has things to say about creative work. They want to talk about work they made, work they didn't make, work so-and-so made, what they thought of it. So we decided to put together a portfolio of creative work that was explicitly about what it meant to have a mental health diagnosis and what it felt like to live and work with these challenges. And we reached out to our networks and crowdsourced work and put it into the portfolio, and we launched in May. So yeah, that was kind of like the long way of getting to mental health is something I've lived with for a long time, but especially felt compelled to react to, given the new pressures of the pandemic and what our community was facing.
That's great. So now I have more specific questions, and then we go to a little more. So I know, Lizzie, you mentioned that you felt it wasn't as important. I think I agree with Laurel. I think sometimes as creatives, we think that in order to have a side project and like feel that like we're making an impact, like it's like all about other people. And obviously I am an instigator of that sometimes, but I do agree that sometimes it's fine to have your own side project, your thing that is for you, that, and we forget that it's not about the headline. It's not about getting the press. Sometimes it's like the idea of enjoying yourself and finding your own space to do that, because I think what it's happening a little bit in the industry, that sometimes we all, or a lot of people I talk to, like you get into this crossroad of like, am I doing a side project because I believe in this, or because I'm really looking for a headline, and it's like, do we really want to get something else for my book, or, and I think we forget of like, it's good also to be have that introspection of ourselves and finding that project that fulfills us, and that's why I thought it was really important to have a mix of people with different projects, and not just like people changing the world in a way. And I wanted to see, like, talk to you about like what's your process and what got you there, you know, and how do you feel, how it makes you feel to do that kind of work, you know, like have that creative outlet. Like as you said, you're a copywriter, but obviously ceramics feels a little bit much more in the art direction side, if you want to call it, even though I could not do that. I'm an art director, but I'm just really curious, and I think it's important to other people to listen to that side of the stories too. You know, it's just not ideas that they're there to change the world.
Definitely. Definitely. So it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually started as an art director,
Cool.
and then switched. So I went to art school, and so fine art has always kind of just like been a part of me. It's been in my blood, and I'm just happier when I'm doing it. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget is that you really do have to take care of yourself. If you're not loving what you're doing, maybe it's time to, like, you know, look at what you're doing and where you can change. And I honestly, I think it's just so nice to like end a day, go play with mud. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have to start over and do it again. And that's okay. It's not $1 million advertising account. You don't have like 100 people breathing down your neck. It's just for you. And honestly, I feel like so much more centered. Some people do yoga. Some people talk to a therapist. I like to go make pots, and it's just more about the process for me.
Awesome. So I'm going clockwise because I have Marcela next to you. But like, so Marcela, as you mentioned, there's, see, as a lot of people know, there's a lot of violence in South America, mostly in Mexico. And I saw some of the facts you sent me, you know, which is crazy. Like there was like, since the lockdown, there's 30,000 911 calls, which is insane. 77% more women have been helped versus 2009, which is also great. But I want to see like what's your, like what was your process to get this to life? And obviously you can show what you guys did, but like I don't know, hear from you, like how you guys thought. So like how do you started, you know, how you pull off a project like this way and what the project is about?
Yeah. So just quickly context, as I told you, the collective, the idea is that we come up with ideas to try to fight for human rights. It started with gender, helping women against violence. Then it's been spreading into the LGBT plus community, the people with disabilities, and people from, I don't know how to say that in English actually, the elderly. So, yes. But the first thing that we did was a campaign that it's called SOS Lights. So basically it comes from the fact that there are many, many women in Mexico that have no access to information, and that they don't really know what is actually violence. A lot of people don't know that just not having access to work because someone is not letting you go to work, that's violence. There's so many things that are violence and that people don't really know. So first of all, what we wanted to do is create a campaign that communicates, that stops normalizing violence in a way, that involve the community as well. But that was a clear call to action for women that are involved in a violent situation, that are living domestic violence, that they're not alone, that there's an opportunity to get out of that situation. So we partnered with Red Nacional de Refugios, which is a nonprofit organization that gives shelter to women and their kids that leave their houses so that they can have a safe place to be. And they give them like a 360 help in terms of legal advice, psychological advice, and everything, so that they can start a new life somewhere else. So we partnered with them. And basically the idea was we collected some testimonies from survivors of domestic violence. And what we did is that we turned those testimonies into we turned them into the moment of when they decided that it was enough, and then they asked for help. Now that became projections. It's called SOS Lights because basically what we did was a representation of their call of asking for help, and we projected those calls from inside of our houses into the street. So I'm going to show you, Maddy, do you want me to show that right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
You
I want
have-
to show you.
do you have share screen access? Let me see.
I'm just going to show you a quick video recaps of what, so that you can see what we did instead of me explaining it all.
Do you have access to the sharing screen? That's the question.
Ah, there you go.
I just gave it to y'all.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
So you can see my screen now,
Yeah.
probably. Okay.
Go 2% over there.
Yep. There you go. I hope you can see it right. So this was let me stop presenting. This was a way where we were able to really use everything that we know from advertising and turn it into a project that was really important for us. But that also we were able to use tools like we brought into the table a brand that helped us like get the projectors that we needed. We have the nonprofit organization. And all of these was done in a way that it really helped people. We were able to bring more than 400 volunteers to project around the city. This project has been replicated already in 2 more cities. Next month, we're taking it to a different city where there has been a big case of a girl that was murdered recently. And most importantly, the first 2 nights of that we projected these, we got 82 calls from women asking for help that had seen this. So, I mean, we would be happy if it was just one, you know, but the fact that we're getting out this and actually helping people has been the most rewarding thing.
So I have questions that I think it's, you know, like I think when you start a side project, like we get so overwhelmed of like, how are you going to get people to do it? How do you get 400 people to volunteer? How do you get brands to get involved? So what's a little bit of that process? You know, how
It
do
was
you,
overwhelming.
so like, you know, like even if it's a group of creatives, it feels like bigger than just a side project. So, you know, it'd be helpful for the audience to know how you brought something to this to life, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely overwhelming. Many hours and many long nights, many calls. We became, I mean, I'm creative director, but I'm a writer. But then I also became like a social media influencer person. So I had to contact everyone. Like, hey, we have this project. Do you want to be part of it? Because we brought a lot of influencers on board as well. So it was, I mean, it was really like putting like, all the pieces that we needed on the floor, and then we all taking different tasks. Even though we were not experts in doing that, we had a lot of mistakes during the process, and I think that's fine because for the next projections that we've done it better, and it's been more organized, and it's been less of like what's gonna happen. Like the first time was really, it was very exciting that it was happening because we thought I mean, we knew from the first start that it was a really good idea and that could really get the buzz that we wanted. But it was very scary as well. Like we didn't even know if we needed permits from the government, if the police was going to come and shut us down. So there were many pieces in the puzzle that we were not able to figure out until we finished it. And then we did it again. So I would say it is overwhelming, but it's so, I mean, during the first projection, I do the community management of the organization. But during the first one, I started receiving so many messages like asking for help. And I started sharing that with the rest of the team. And we were like, yes, like this was worth it. So I guess as long as it feels that it's worth investing all that time, whether it's for you or for helping others, I think it makes sense to do it.
So did you guys already had the contact for the nonprofit, or it was something that you guys looked for once you had an idea?
So we didn't have anything really. So we contacted the organization. I mean, it was through one of the people from the organization's sister. She had the contact. We contacted them. We told them the idea. It took a couple of months to organize everything. It was probably around 2-3 months to organize everything, and then for the projectors, that was a big deal. We contact so many people through LinkedIn. Like I was just like CEO from blah brand, right? So we were writing to everyone. I mean, it just shows that I mean, just connecting with people helps. But it was just writing to everyone, like schools, like, do you have projectors, to everyone that we thought that could lend us something. And thankfully Epson did it. And but it was everything through reaching out to people.
Yeah, I agree that fearless is the best way of creating a side project. Like regardless of the side project, you have to be like, I think like Lindsay said, like if it breaks, if it, you know, if it's broken, you can always go and start back, and like there's always a chance to make it better. Done is better than perfect, which is a little bit of my mantra when it comes to side projects, which is something you don't get to do when it gets to advertising as well as much, because everything has to be kind of perfect. So okay, now you want to go and we like, I wanted to know a little bit more. I know you mentioned that this started like a collection inside of the agency, that to like be much more conscious when it comes to eco-friendly and like doing things like that. If there's any like data that in Dubai and like places in the UI, like they're not as conscious as other countries, and what got you to expand this idea? You know, it would be interesting. A lot of people, I think, now are trying to tap into this world, and the idea of you seeing what you guys been doing and growing this community, it's kind of interesting. So I would love to know more how you made it bigger and get more people to be on board in the country.
Yeah, so for us, we already knew it was happening because even the big groceries, they didn't really have reusable options. It was always plastic bag. So we thought that was a bit alarming because in this day and age, you should have this option already. And so a lot of people already were aware. We just needed to organize all of this conversation. So us, we are, social media, community managers and all like social media related. It's a social media agency, first of all. So we were used to doing all these like huge activations, and we wanted this to be one of those. So when this was also the time when the algorithm changed, more personal accounts were being favored over brands on Facebook. So creating a Facebook page didn't seem to be the best way to go. We created a Facebook group instead. And it just started with maybe 10 of us just sharing links on all these, very alarming statistics all over the world. There wasn't much about the UAE yet, but we had one contact with the Environment Agency in Abu Dhabi who was supportive of this idea. So we had that from the start. And now it's close to 5,000 active members, people talking to each other about, hey, I had this idea about how to, compost waste, or where can I get eco-friendly mask, or I saw this business that's, selling bamboo toothbrushes, so we can use that instead of the plastic ones. So there are so many ideas that people have, and I think that once you're aware that something is a problem, a lot of people have ideas, a lot of people share them, and now we're pushing more and more businesses to have more eco-friendly options. So now the big grocery store near me now has, eco-friendly bags, and then I use that instead of, so a lot of people, what they do, even the fruits and vegetables are individually wrapped in plastic, and that's like, when I see it, it's just not right to do. It's really not necessary. And so we even within Plastic Free UAE, we have a lot of tumblers, a lot of these reusable products, so that when we have big events, of course now we're not doing events, but that's something that we have ready in case, you know, people would want to switch from just a plastic bottle to something reusable. So it really was more of us trying to organize all of that and people coming together for that same cause. And then what started as a Facebook group now became a website. So we made this website. Of course, we're not, you know, marine biologists. We're not experts in that field. And as many of you, like, we're creatives. We build websites, we build social activations. So we wanted to use our skill set to get more people talking about what is needed to be talked about. And so this website became, we put a directory of social, you know, sustainability initiatives in the UAE that you can be part of, you know, thought leaders in the field. And a lot of people, we were getting a lot of attention from the radio shows, and just a lot of conversations were now happening even within. It doesn't have to be, they didn't have to interview us. They could be interviewing a business owner or just a member of that group, but they met through that group. So it was really just a platform to get people connected and talking. And so we also didn't stop with the website. We also, pre-pandemic, we organized a lot of activities and events. And my favorite one was during my birthday, we teamed up with this kayaking company, and they do educational tours on mangroves. And mangroves are a huge part of the ecosystem in Abu Dhabi. Not a lot of people know that. When people think Abu Dhabi, Dubai, or UAE, you think a desert oasis, and then that's it. But the marine life here is actually super rich. There are dugongs, there are dolphins, there are so many different kinds of fish. And we, like the mangrove tour, when we were, I think we were about 30 people, we went kayaking and it was so serene. And our guide was telling us more about the, you know, just the how diverse the UAE is, and which was a surprise to most of the people that were in the tour. So I think we used education, we used social media to connect, and that's really where what plastic free is. It's more about inviting all these industry experts, giving them a platform, and making them the influencer, you know, building them so that they have a voice for this great cause. So I think that was really what we were trying to do and are still doing. Of course, less events now.
I'm in mute. That's the life in 2020. And Laurel, I was lucky enough to be one of the people that participated in our silent partner, you know, and I think, as you said, like recognizing having a mental health issue, or even not knowing that you have something, you know, like I when I moved to New York, for example, like I had a lot of anxiety attacks. I didn't even know what that was, you know, like I was like, what is this thing, you know, why I'm getting out of breath. So like I think, you know, there's a lot of myth and a lot of like not conversations. It's still a little bit taboo, and the industry. And I think you said it, like as creatives, sometimes we use that as a drive, you know, like our mental health to be better creatives, or you know, like we get into this thing of like never being satisfied, I think, in a way, to become better creatives, which is really hard. But I love that your project is not just a place where people can express themselves, but they express themselves in a creative way, you know, using their tools. So I wanted to know a little bit more, like how, you know, like you and Victoria brought this to life, and like how you feel like it can help the next generation of the industry, you know. And yeah, a little bit more about it. Like I love that it's an open source place for mental health. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you really touched on this. I think one of the things that Victoria and I talked a lot about this before we actually made something. Just, you know, constantly texting and hopping on calls and just responding to what was going on and sharing our own personal struggles was like a big part of it. And I think what kind of like the nugget that I hit on was not only is our industry, you know, and the way that things are set up and kind of like being a high performance, deadline driven industry, which means like you might be losing sleep, you might be working long hours, you might be like sacrificing, you know, any work-life balance you have to win an award or to get promoted. I think we really realized that kind of like the structure that we have is imbalanced, right? It's not actually like even the setup of our industry itself isn't really conducive to caring for yourself, but also that it kind of sells a bit of a lie, like that there's one way, like Maddy and I talked a little bit about this last week even, but this lie about what success has to look like, you know? And I think especially as women, it's like we already don't fit into that mold. We don't see a lot of ourselves represented. It's getting better, right? But like we don't see a lot of like the really balancing like being a mom and being a leader and having this powerful position. So there's already like a dissonance there between one, the way that what we do for a living is structured, two, you know, the myth kind of there around what we have to sacrifice or what we have to put out there to be successful and to feel good about, you know, what we're producing. That's a lie. And then three, like we really kind of picked up on the idea that like the people that what makes creatives is we are unique people. Like we're sensitive, we feel things, we feel compelled to react to the world around us, right? Some of us are neurodiverse. Like that's kind of the secret sauce to who we are. We tick a little different than your average person. And I think some of the same things that make us great creatives also mean we're maybe like higher likely to struggle. So I think that was kind of like one of the things that we kind of noticed too when we were talking. So for us, it was really important to have this be a creative based thing and to use creativity as the medium to tell our stories, because it can be the cure too. And I think that it can be the struggle, like producing work can be the struggle, but it can also be the cure. And so that was kind of one of the thoughts there. I don't know if I lost the thread of your question, but like, oh no, you're on mute.
Sorry. I'm gonna show people the website. I have it here, so
yeah.
we get to people know what you're talking about. But I think there's something really beautiful about like how can you express mental health. You know, like obviously it's been done in so many ways, right? Like there's different type of artists to express, but I love the idea of like you guys, like there's something about your silent partner, right? Like advertising is all about having a partner. Like if you're an art director, you have a copywriter, vice versa, and like having your mental health of someone like you partner with, right? Like it's like I this is my interpretation, but like it's like you kind of like giving into your health issues to be like, I'm gonna live with this, and this is a partner I have to kind of talk to, you know, and I wanted to know a little more how you guys felt about that, and if is that something that why it came to life.
Yeah, the name Our Silent Partner, you're right. It does come from the idea that one, this isn't something that we talk about. So a big part of the presentation was like, a big part of the reason that we put something visual out there and something that had writing was because it kind of gives voice to this thing that nobody talks about. And the partnership thing, you're also right, is that that's something that we can all relate to in our industry. You have all types of different partners, your account partner, your creative partner. And this is the one partner that we all share and never talk about. And that's kind of like the story. And that's like where we started, kind of grounded the story that we were telling. But yeah, I think there was something really beautiful when we asked our community. It was a really simple brief. It was just like, share your, you know, it was basically like, how would you
share creatively what it feels like to be in your head, essentially. Like, what are you struggling with? What does that look like? And we got so many different expressions of that. We got beautiful photography, which was amazing, especially coming out of, you know, being in, this is right after everything shut down. So one of our submittants put out like photography that they shot from the window, like of their house, you know, from like quick runs to the store. That was amazing. We had people that wrote poetry. We had art directors that painted. I think Maddy had one of them up there. And people expressed everything from anxiety to eating disorders that they struggled with, to like pretty major like PTSD. It was really beautiful to see, like, to get an insight into what these people are experiencing, and to kind of have that like respect for, not only is this going on in your head, but you're able to like beautifully express it. And I think that that's like the beauty of creative people, right? Is we're constantly reacting to the world, and this gives people the chance to react to what they were feeling inside, which we're not always able to do, I think, in our job.
Yeah, I agree. And Leslie, before we go to, I'm going to do the last question. We're at almost an hour. I also want to get some people to get some questions in if they want. And what would be your like advice when it comes to side projects? You know, like I think if I have to pick my advice, it will be like, don't be afraid of doing it. Just put it out there. You know, so I just wanted to see what you guys like wanna, girls, no guys. What's your advice? You know, what you'd say to the next creative that it's scared of doing a side project, you know, that it's not confident of doing something, you know. As I said before, I think is rather done than perfect. You know, I'm all about prototypes. I'm about like, if you put it in the world, someone's gonna react and someone's gonna help you make it better. It's all about community for me. Like, I always gather people around me to make it work. So I'm curious about what's your advice to the next generation of creatives. Lindsay.
Cool. I think my advice would be to do what makes you happy more. I think there doesn't have to be as much pressure on a side project to be another portfolio piece. That's great if it can be, but if it's not, that's totally okay. And I think if you're looking for a job, the right recruiter is going to see that you're taking care of yourself and you're putting yourself in a better like position to be creative and like successful in your own right, and not having to like fit the advertising mold. So yeah, do what makes you happy.
Marce?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And also something that you said, that prototypes and unfinished things, but you just need to put it out, and you'll make it better as time passes, as you learn more things, as you get feedback. But definitely, for Constellation, one day I was like, we've been getting together for so many months and it's like not moving. I just bought a website domain, and in one night I put out the website and I'm like, okay, we're official, it's happening, we are a thing, you know. Mm-hmm. And later we'll figure out what exactly we are, but doing that, and also what Lindsay say, if it doesn't make you happy, if it's not a topic that you are, I mean, you're gonna give to this thing extra hours of your life. I mean, you might get more than what you are giving in at the end, but you're investing time in this. So it really should be something that it's going to make you or happy or laugh or share a moment with someone that you want, or it should generate an emotion in you that makes you feel that it's okay.
Thank you. Reina?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. And also what Maddy said about just having people around you. I think why Plastic Free was successful in a way, we of course we weren't very rigid in what success would look like, but that we got people talking. So, and I worked with people that I also work with in my day job. So it helped to have that kind of sense of we're in this together. And I never felt like I was alone in doing that. I never felt like I was defending, nature, the environment alone. It was always a community thing. We always put it back. The question was always, how can we make our community better? How can we make people more aware with what was going on? It was always more in the community sense, and wasn't like just a me kind of sense. So I think having a supportive team really helped, and plastic free wouldn't be what it is today if it's not for, I think 10 of us within the agency that really make sure that we have blogs out there, that people moderate those comments. Someone needs to do those little things, but as long as you're clear about the broad things, like you said, we also published our website, and then we were like, it's okay, it's fine, and it's out there now, and we'll just learn along the way, and maybe if it makes sense to add another section, we'll do that. But then we need to still do it. There were a lot of setbacks, like, no, it's not perfect yet, and no, but it's okay. At the end of the day, it's just about sharing it and not being afraid to be maybe criticized for the small things, or it's okay. It's the same with me and my creative work and at Digital Farm. Sometimes there's that fear of maybe it's not good enough, or people will say these things, but it's also the same for the side project. You just need to be brave enough to put your work out there, knowing that it's your authentic self that's part of that. So I think just surround yourself with people that encourage you and not make you feel like what you're doing is not okay or not enough.
Thank you. And Laurel?
I'll be quick, but mine, I mean, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum, because I'm like, I mean, I think some of us, there's like a bit of that activist mindset. And for me, it's all about like turning what bothers you into a dream brief. Like, if there's something that bothers you, if there's something that you wish you had, if there's something that like you feel passionate about, react to it, make something, be the change. And don't be afraid. Yeah, don't let like perfectionism stand in the way of starting an important conversation, because we don't get that, it's going to be the one thing that doesn't have to go through 125 revisions. You can put it out there and you can evolve as a person through the project and change it and grow, and use it as an opportunity to, especially I think now when we're in this new time where it doesn't matter where you are, like to connect with people who inspire you and partner with this amazing creatives who light you up. You don't have to be in the same place anymore. You don't have to be working together at the same agency anymore. Just people that care about the same things. And I think that that's such a big way to bolster yourself in your day-to-day work and life, and to build your community and to have an impact. So yeah, listen to your gut and surround yourself with people that light you up.
Thank you so much for coming today, and especially again, I like came on, she's in 1 a.m. or she's at home. If the audience have some questions, we have a couple more minutes, we give it some time, but thank you so much for coming. For me, it's like so important to like give the platform which we praise to be, which is giving spotlight to female creatives, and I think that this was an opportunity to not talk as much about me, but about you guys and the projects you're bringing together. Any questions, audience? Or should just, there you go with the Thursday. Some of you can go drink because it's late. Some of you.
Can I say something really quickly?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I just want to thank you for opening this space for all of us. I think it's that all the work that you're doing is really important. I think the work that you're doing, it has been very relevant, and it's making a big impact in a lot of women around the world. So I really thank you for opening this space for us to talk about this stuff.
Thank you. You're gonna make me cry. I'm very hormonal now. Yeah, I do another Gwen if you want. Yeah, I love to like keep doing more of this, and thank you for the sideshow for inviting us and giving us the space. Also, I'm gonna give a shout out to Laurel, because the finalists and winners of the next creative leaders were announced today. So go check them out. They're all amazing. they're going to be in inVisible Creatives next week. So thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully more people get to see this. And yeah, and Kasha, yeah, you're there. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, girls. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.